Hi, I'm Diane Nelson, and I am an employee at Gonzaga and a college coach. And so I'm going to talk about the NCAA and just kind of the governance of the rules and regulations that over the course of the last 3 years in my job, I've been forced to learn, educate myself, and comply with day in and day out. So an interesting beast, I would say. Over the course of my 3 years in the college coaching ranks, I've learned what Gonzaga University and the athletic department does to maintain compliance with the NCAA. Gonzaga's attempt to meet and exceed each aspect of the certification process is apparent. My introduction to this process began in the first month of employment before being allowed to travel on a recruiting trip myself. Every coach in the department must pass an NCAA recruiting test and must pass it with a certain percentage, or they need to take it again, and they cannot recruit until that is taken, and it's an annual test. This is part of the promotion of an environment of compliance, and I think this falls in line with the first step of the process, effective governance of rules compliance. In addition, we have monthly compliance meetings intending to reinforce and educate coaches on relevant information or touch on the most recent areas where coaches in our department have self-reported, meaning they've broken a rule and they had to turn themselves in over it. In the volleyball program, careful consideration is made of our athletes and every athlete that comes into our program or leaves our program and how that's going to affect our APR. And I think this touches on the academic integrity of our institution and specifically knowing what we do. In fact, our recruiting equation consists of knowing every athlete's GPA and test score before a kid's considered. Lastly, every freshman attends an athlete class educating them on how to balance academics and athletics, setting up a 4 or 5 year academic plan with our academic coordinator, and how to make decisions that are going to optimize the athlete's experience. And that can range from anything from what a college student's going to face in their 4 or 5 year career. And that might be a drug and alcohol. That might be getting in a situation where they could be sexually assaulted. That could be grades. That could be just a social environment. It could be anything. So I think that we do a great job in terms of striving to, reach the goals of the certification process that was instigated by the Knights Commission. In conjunction with these normal routines, what I think can be a logistical nightmare is the oversight and monitoring of every sport and the varying recruiting rules for every sport and how basketball rules are different from, other sports. When they can recruit, when you can call an athlete, when you can text an athlete, when you can speak to them in person, whether you can acknowledge them at a sporting event, what constitute a pre-existing relationship with a kid, what can be included in an email, when can you invite them to summer camp, what can you do with them when they are on campus. Our administration and compliance office attempts to monitor every interaction with the athletes, and as much of a nightmare as that can be, I think they do a phenomenal job in just knowing what's going on and knowing that there are limits to everything that we have, that we do in our jobs. As a coach, carefully considering every move and asking permission for everything has really been kind of the sequence that I operate on. I have observed the compliance office, and for as much headache as they can cause in doing their job, I know that they are doing everything in their power to abide by the rules and kind of to play fairly, so to speak, in the world of Division I athletics. Our ethics text just touches on defining fair play as playing within the rules, and fair play rejects exploiting loopholes in the rules and abjures using shady or questionable ploys that produce an unfair advantage over one's opponent. And that's every other institution that we are up against in the recruiting process. There always comes into play the how will anyone know what I do concept. And as Gonzaga University continues to gain national recognition, it is the fact that people are always looking and hoping to catch Gonzaga doing something wrong. So I applaud what our compliance office does, And I know that that will continue to build athletes that go out into the world and do great things.